Yes, thank you very much. The recording has started. Yeah. So, like I was saying, um, Samuel Ajayi is into innovation policy and governance. At the moment, he works with Agora Policy, but we met at the university where he graduated from the Federal University of Technology, Akure. And, it's some years down the line, you can see that he has evolved and he has networked with a lot of organizations in and outside the country that has made him to be able to be an asset to himself, to the country, and very interesting points to us this evening that we can use in our development phase. Samuel Ajayi works at the intersection of policy and innovation, and with a singular focus on seeing improved development outcomes in Africa. He has 5 years of experience in various sectors, including education, media, agriculture, cities, politics, and consulting, where he has applied his skills in social media communications, writing, and strategic communications. Some of his previous achievements include training over 400 teachers across 3 states in southwestern Nigeria, where he has received the Bridge Writers Fellowship Award and also became a semi-finalist in the Ignite Africa Challenge, and is very passionate about finding and implementing solutions that leverage policy, technology, education, and development to create a prosperous and inclusive continent. He's always eager to learn, to collaborate, and contribute to meaningful conversations and challenges we really need to look into today. And for context, the group of people here are young people, not really in terms of age, in terms of what we do in life, and people who are very interested in the way their development is going. So, Mr. Samuel Ajayi, thank you so much for honoring this invite, and we do not take it for granted. We just want to say to have you on our corner, and I'm sure that at the end of this session, we all will be happy that we made this decision to join this event this evening. So I'm going to stop my presentation, and I'm going to pin our guest speaker on the screen. So let's try as much as possible to maintain house ethics, which is that we do not put on our microphone if we're not asked to. Find a silent place where you will not be distracted. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box. When it is time, we'll do the needful to call you to answer your question. So please let's all mute ourselves. If you are not used to Google Meet, there are some functions down there. The first one to your right is the video, is the audio. The second one is your video. The third one is your captions, where if we are speaking good English, you will see the interpretation. You see the transcript, not interpretation, sorry, of what we are saying. And the fourth one is for your reactions. The fifth one is to share. You don't need that today. And the fifth one is to raise your hand in case you have a question when it is questions time. So I think with this, we are set to start. And I will say, Mr. Samuel, you're welcome once again. And thank you for accepting to speak to us. We believe that we are going to gain one or two very, very vital things that will be necessary for our development. So you can have the floor. I'm going to pin you to the screen for all of us while we learn from you. Thank you so much for coming around. You're welcome. Please have the floor.
All right. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. Can you guys see me?
Yes, we can see.
Awesome. Yes. Awesome. It's good to be here. I'm trying to look at myself on the screen because I'm also projecting this thing on my TV. So yes, it's awesome to be here. I've known Michael since we were in Futa, like you rightly mentioned, and I actually knew him from my 100 level days, where we used to There was this important course that we used to do together, and that course had like a lot of drawings and the likes. And so that was how I met Michael for the first time. He has one nickname that they used to call him, but I won't mention that here. All right, so it's awesome to be here. I'm supposed to have a class on effective communication, so we're just going to get right into it. So first, I like to always start like this kind of class with a very important, story. The first time I ever spoke in public, I was 3 years old. I said 3 years old. Sorry, I was 6 years old, and it was in church. The next time I did it, I was 12 years old. It was in church. And the third time I did it, I was 19 years old, and it was in school. Now, the common denominators about all of these ones was that the opportunities presented themselves and I had to be there. But I like to always say that the third time was probably the first time I actually understood the principles of communication. And because it happened in such an interesting way, along the time, when I just started studying communication properly as something that interested me. And so I remember that particular story about this popular CNN host, now no longer at CNN, called Larry King. Larry King had been at CNN and used to host a program on the TV station then called Larry King Live. And this was quite an interesting program because he featured interviewing different people from different walks of life. And I remember reading his first time presenting on television or radio, as it were. And he said that he had just gotten the job. He got there, he went into the room. Imagine the mics were set up, everybody was waiting for him. They had done the roll call, they had played the jingle and everything. They were waiting for him to just speak, and he froze. He couldn't say anything. And he remembered that the producer walked into the room angrily and shouted at him, "This is a communications business. Speak." So I like to always say that the first and most important thing that needs to be said about communication is that we need to realize that it's first something of courage. I know that a lot of times people don't start, talking about communications from this perspective, but I think it sets an important context because primarily speaking is about courage. It is about having something to say, one, and then having the courage to deliver it. Now, it's very, very interesting because sometimes when you go to most communication schools or when you talk to some communications persons, they'll tell you, oh, you have to prepare, you have to get this one ready, you have to know what you want to say, you have to understand what your people will say, you have to know what they are going to say, you can know what they are saying, you have to understand your audience, you have to know where they're coming from, you have to know what they're saying. But primarily, all of that doesn't make as much sense if you don't start from a place of courage. And this is very, very important because it sets the stage. Communication first is about courage. Now, I recently got married, and one of the first things I've learned also in relationships and generally in life is that communicating is a continuous thing. And it's not just about communicating with people or, communicating in a public speaking setting or communicating to a large people or trying to write or get across information. But primarily, one of the core things you would find is that communication is about courage. And that courage starts from you yourself because communication is a form of vulnerability. Because the moment you open up yourself to speak to people, you're exchanging information. And when you're exchanging information, unless you're not willing to communicate deeply, you're also opening up yourself to be vulnerable to them, which is why I started from that baseline, which is that communication is what? Is about courage. If you are with me, just use your thumbs up on the screen. I like seeing, thumbs up, rain. Let it rain, let it rain. Yeah, like that. Awesome. So yes, communication is primarily about what? About courage. So it is that perspective, it is that that sense that will lay the foundation about what we're saying before we then go into the maybe techniques or the means or the likes of that. First, understand that communication is about courage and it is opening yourself up to people so that they can feed from you in that sense. So, and it lays up it shows up in every aspect of our lives. Because, for example, one of the reasons I say this is because you can tell when communication is authentic. You may not know exactly when or how, but you can tell when communication is authentic. And the best speakers or the best communicators we have in this world find a way to be authentic. And one of those things I've found about human nature is that it takes courage to be authentic, because usually the world is framed in a way for us to have or to create a facade about ourselves. You create an image that presents people from seeing the real us. But when people communicate authentically, it takes courage. And when that authenticity and courage comes together, that is the foundation of the best speakers that you find in the world today, or anybody that communicates in the world today. So with that foundation being laid, you can then go down and talk deeply about communication, as an art itself. So when some of you imagine that you are communicating with people, or in context of communicating with people, or what you want to say, I want to ask a question now from this audience. What has been your biggest struggles when it comes to communication? I'm going to take people, um, two people from the audience. You can just unmute if you have something. If you want to say something, just unmute and say it. All right. Unmute. Oh, what has been your biggest challenge when it comes to communication?
I would say courage. I would say courage. Courage is
Alfred Jesse,
always
right? That's you, right?
yes. Not
Your
it's not
your
every time.
biggest challenge has been courage. Awesome. That means I'm speaking to you.
Yes.
I'm in the spirit. All right. Who else wants to
Okay,
let me know their biggest
I,
challenge?
I would like to
Hello,
try.
sir.
Mine is carrying everybody along, carrying
Yours is
every
carrying everybody
single
along.
person.
That's Bright Monday, right?
This is Bright Monday.
Hello, sir. Can I speak?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Sir, the challenge I used to face is that when I'm in a room that is full of people that are more intelligent than me, so I actually feel unskilled. I will feel like I'm going to do some blunders and they are going to notice it very easily. That's why I feel
Interesting, interesting.
one of the
So,
one,
so
one of
there
my
have been three submissions now. Somebody was talking the other time and said, "I'd like to try." I want to hear that person.
So we have three people raising up their hands. If they mean it, go ahead.
If your hands are raised, please just speak. So one of the things that I like my classes to be interactive. This is why I want to get a sense of what we're saying, of what where everyone is at the moment. Okay,
Yeah,
so
good evening, sir.
first let me start. All right, who else that? Who's that?
This is Tokwe.
Okay, Tokwe, go ahead.
Mine is inability to break. Maybe if I'm given a topic to speak on if I'm given an opportunity to speak on a particular topic, inability to break it down well sometimes, and to a layman's understanding for other people to be able to understand.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. I feel you. So far, we've had four people speak. First person mentioned courage, which really interestingly I started with courage. The second person mentioned um 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 interacting in work in a room, if I remember correctly. The third person mentioned the what they call imposter syndrome. Then the fourth person mentioned the inability to break a topic down to to break a topic down. So yes, so it's basically courage, carrying everyone along, fear of blunders, and an inability to break a topic down. So let me start by saying that all of these things that you say, right? Every single person who you think have the best of, can communicate clearly today, they all go through this particular challenge every time they are about to speak. It will shock you to know. Because one of the first things I've learned from talking to people who speak publicly, and you can ask them, they will tell you that every time they want to go upstairs, they want to go up there to speak, they're afraid. Yes, there's no point, there's nowhere that you want to speak that won't feel that, that won't feel as if, this thing, I'm afraid though. And the truth of the matter is that they go ahead and do it in spite of that. Now, the second thing, carrying everybody along. One of the first things you need to know about communicating is that it depends on the room, right? And when we start getting into the practicality of the, things, my notes and things we have here, then probably it will touch on some of these things much better. But carrying everyone along is also, it depends on the room and what you have. So one thing I always say is that when you are about to speak, I'm addressing a correct question now. When you are about to speak, know this and know this very, very well. In that particular moment, the moment they are giving you the opportunity to speak, it means at that particular time, your perspective matters and carries value. And because it carries value, you can step into that confidently. All right? Always know, I've given you 2 trips. Every single person who is speaking publicly, they always experience that jitter, that fear of standing up or wanting to communicate. They experience it, every single one of them. Second thing, know that at the point that you are allowed to communicate, you have something valuable to deliver, and just step into that. Now, the third thing, don't be afraid of blunders. That's the first thing I want to say. How do you know that everyone in this particular room, they are more intelligent than you? That's just your mind playing tricks on you. There's no reason to believe that when you say something in a room, you make a blunder. So let me tell you something. It is an opportunity to educate people, or it's an opportunity to learn. Communication at any particular time is always an opportunity to what? To educate people, or an opportunity to learn. Now, if you're in a room and you feel like people who are more intelligent than you are there, that means when you talk, there's an opportunity for you to what? To learn. Now, if you speak in a room and you feel like the people there are more intelligent than you and they don't correct you, that means that they gain perspective from what you say. So in any sense of it, your presence in a room means you have value to what? To communicate. Simple. Right? Now, to the fourth person who mentioned their inability to break a topic down. Now, this is a challenge that I struggle with myself, and I've learned to do different ways to do this. Now, some of the things is that, sometimes it may feel like sometimes that after you've had the conversation, you now remember the best way to present it. Does that happen to any of you before? I'm like, I should have said it this way, maybe it have gotten across. Yes, I can see the rain of thumbs up. Yes, it happens to the best of us. And it happens to me too, right? So it is important that one of those things to do, one of the things that helps really to do that is to find the lowest common denominator, especially if you are in a room, right, that has a lot of people. One way you can break topics down is to always seek the use of metaphors. So metaphors help people because humans are a storytelling species. So what metaphors help you do is that it forces you to strip your thought process down to a lowest level. So use comparisons, right? Seek feedback as you're talking, because that helps people know that they're following you, right? I hope you're following me. So those are a combination of some of the challenges that people experience generally. Everyone has experienced some of this one. Like I mentioned again, communication takes what? It takes courage at the basic level. It starts from that courage. So now that we have like a general sense, a broad sense of what what some of the challenges that some of us are experiencing in this class now. I'm going to reach out to you, Abdurrahman. Don't worry. you still get chance to talk. So once we've done that, right, it becomes easy. So primarily now, since we've already established that communication at the basic level is a thing of courage, right? We already know. I could come and say, what is communication? And people say, oh, communication is a process of sending and receiving messages. I can talk about, types of communication, verbal, non-verbal, courage, written, visual, and the likes. But, it's much more important to look at the underlying principles, right? You get, look at the underlying principle and not just go from a technical practice and just say, let's start from a practical perspective and just go from there. If you're following me, say, let me see the thumbs up. Let it shower, let it rain, let it rain, let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My head is swelling. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, good day. I should go on. Dalu. Right. Yes. So, when get to some of those things, so it is very thank you so much. My class is you see, communication is happening, you guys are having fun. All right, so yes, I was saying, we've established that the foundation is really about courage, right? And we've established that when we are having a conversation, we start from courage. Now let's move on from courage. Now let's say you have courage. What can you then do to make sure that when you are communicating with people, you are really getting across to them, right? So one thing I like to say is that, have you guys been to a Nigerian event before, right? And they say people should come and contribute. How many of you have seen it that people will rush the front and people will collect the mic, and some people will now say, talk for like 5 minutes, and you will not understand what that person is saying? If that one has happened to you, just I can see you are already laughing. Like, this has happened to you before, and people like, yeah, what is this guy saying? You come away from someone and you'll be like, you like say this person just come collect mine just to know say we did here. And then there's you have something valuable to say, you're afraid to come up and say it. I didn't drag you, shower, but I didn't mistakenly drag you, but yeah, if that one touch you, I'm not sorry. You get, so right, you saw, now you can see, now these people, they have courage, but they are not communicating anything, right? They're saying nonsense. Like they're saying complete nonsense. They are not contributing to the conversation in a good way. So how do you then make sure that when they give you that mic, you will not come and disgrace all of us in this call, on this call today, and and drag us, and you not communicate wrongly, right? So one of the first things that you like to say is that before you get up to speak, always kind of try to arrange your thoughts in your head. Right. Now I realize that this is not something that is very, very easy. Sometimes it depends on your style. Some people can easily synthesize their thoughts in their head and come up with something very interesting and intelligent on a whim. Like, they don't have those ones. If you wake them from the bed, they know what to say. Just give them 1 minute processing. But sometimes if your own is not like that, if you want to speak, you can note it down, write key points on things you want to touch, just put it down there, so that when you get up there, it allows you to arrange your thoughts, and it allows you to also time yourself, right? It gives your process clarity. There are times you go to a place, and when you get there, somebody will just speak for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but you remember every single thing that that this person said. Helen, I can see your comments. You remember every single thing that the person says because they found a way to arrange their thoughts properly, right? And that's something that that comes across to a lot of people. So find a way to make sure that you arrange your thoughts, right? Even if it's a gathering, a panel session or things like that. When they ask you question, take your time, write the question down, note key points that you want to say, so that it allows you to be clear and concise, right? So another thing is that I know this class is about communication, the key part of communication is listening, right? Be very, very, very open to listening. I find out that sometimes this one goes beyond speaking in public or speaking in a place. It also affects our relationships, right? Listening is a skill and you can learn it, right? And when I mean listening, it means active listening. Sometimes when you are talking to people, one of the ways is that you need to listen, not to reply, but listen to understand their perspective. Now, I like one thing that Stephen Covey used to say, and several great communicators use this a lot. Don't be afraid of asking questions, right? So if you are talking, you're talking in public or you're talking in a place, and someone says something, and you don't understand, instead of saying and replying quickly and saying, yes, this. Wait, calm down. You are permitted to say, I'm sorry, excuse me. Is this what you are saying? Because when you do that, what it does is that if they are saying something that is not very good before, it will force them to what? To clarify their position, right? It will force them to clarify their position. And so when you ask that question, it gets better. That's one of the things that marriage taught me and has taught me. I've been blessed with a wonderful wife. Is that my wife can ask questions. If I say this one and this one, this one, this one, my wife will say, excuse me, please, is this what you are saying? Is this what this means? So when she says that, I am forced most times to then clarify my thoughts in a way, because it allows them. Because sometimes somebody is talking to you, they've not really arranged their thoughts in their head, and it feels like, and just say it to you, and you just respond immediately like that. No, it's calm down. Tell them, say, please, you said this, you said this, you said this. Am I getting you correctly that this is what you mean? Because one of the things about communication is that communication goes both ways, and sometimes easily it gets lost in transmission. There are biases that comes from it, right? There are things that come in between us. There are cultural differences. There are places where you go to, where you will just get to, and instantly you will not understand what is going on. So asking questions forces us to empathize with the person we are talking to, right? So it allows us to be in their own position. Let me give you a typical example. When I first moved to Abuja, and my one of my senior friends sent me somewhere one day, and he was like, that when you get there, that some of these, when you get there, just do this one, do this one. So I went there, I did everything as I was supposed to do and everything. And I'm a Yoruba boy. I grew up in southwestern Nigeria, and there's a way people express excitement in the southwestern part of this country. And so the person I went to meet is from the northern part of the country. And before I got there, when I got there, I was expecting the excitement to show on his face, things like that. But it didn't show. So I started feeling as if maybe this person is not happy with us, or the likes, or the like. Then I remember when I got back home and I told my boss that I just gave it to the guy. The guy did not even say anything. He just said okay, and he said bye bye. And and then my boss now said, you have missed it. He's happy. So if he doesn't like it, he would have told you that he doesn't like it. That as it is, that he's seeing his face like that it's okay, that he's enjoying himself. That don't worry, don't worry about it. And true to God, what we wanted the person to do, he did it. We showed that he was excited with us anyway. So again, you can see how cultural biases can affect communication, right? So that's a typical example. So sometimes always ask questions to clarify, because when questions it forces the people that we're talking to or we're interacting or communicating with to clarify their position, right? So that we can respond or communicate properly. Some of these things are going to be useful in our interpersonal lives, right? Relationships, dealing with people, but primarily I'm seeing that when you listen, you are actively listening. And so don't be also afraid of asking questions. You're with me? Let the thumbs up shower, let the showers of thumb flow. Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So, and one of those things that I want to also mention is that, like I mentioned, that it forces, because you are dealing with people from different background and things like that, it gets to that position where you can, empathize with them, get their position because you listen properly, right? And one of those things that you also have to do when you communicate with people, don't be afraid to ask for feedback, right? Don't be afraid when you're talking to people, ask for feedback. See, if you go to a place, and I'm going to ask Biola, Biola, I'm going to ask Biola. I wanted to call him his nickname. I'm going to ask Biola his nickname. I'm going to ask Biola
Don't
when
do
we leave
that.
here about feedback. I'm going to ask him, please, how did I do? Did I do well? Things like that, because it's critical, because it allows people to be able to say, you know what, I understand what you're saying. I get your perspective and things like that. I can see you, Rose. I'll get back to you. All right. So, as I was saying, ask for feedback, things like that, ask for feedback because it allows you to get better when you're talking to people. So another one that I like to say is that when since we've highlighted some of these things, right? When you are doing all these things, you must always realize that communication between people always exists across barriers. Now, has to be in the background. It always exists across barriers because people would come and they're coming from different expectations and things like that. They have different expectations, they have different, which is why communication as a skill is something to be invested in, right? You have to invest in it, right? If it will take you to learn a course on communication, take a course or do it, do it. It will take you to volunteer yourself to speak publicly, do it. If it will take you to read books, do it. So now we are at the point where I'm giving you practical steps of things, to improve your own, communication skills as a person. So one thing I'll say is that if you've not spoken in public before, from now, hunt for opportunities to speak in public. You don't get better at it by not doing it. I hope you know that, right? There are some people here, and that they've spoken in front of the mirror. They've spoken in the General Assembly in New York, but they've never stood up once in the mosque, in the church, anywhere to contribute. You won't get better at it if you don't start somewhere, so that you will not freeze when that stage comes, right? Yes, go beyond. That's why some people, and this is why I said, remember, like I said at the beginning, that it starts from courage. That's also why some people can't even enjoy or even approach people that they'd like to be friends with, or even people they want to date. It starts from courage. That is that fundamental thing. It starts from courage. From there, right? So find ways where you will train your courage, because courage can be learned. Courage can be improved. Start from, if they ask some people, they're asking for people to stand up to, for example, you ask, contribute on this call or do something. Don't sit back. If you have something to say, raise up your hand. Let me know. You are training your courage, your muscles. You are exercising it. You are getting better at it, right? Find those avenues to do that better. Number two, find ways to practice and learn much more about communication. The first one is about putting yourself out there. The second one is about learning how to present yourself there, so that when you then have the opportunity to speak, you have something to say, right? And then finally, 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 make sure that when you've developed the courage, when you've learned how to deliver, the final thing, make sure that what you are saying is valuable. I hope you get what I'm saying. So people cannot speak from the heart. so that I don't come out as fake, or something like that. You can listen to some of the big speeches that you find today, and you would see that the best speech are authentic and they contribute something valuable. So when you get value, make sure that you get that value very, very, very much. Make sure you get that value very, very much. Make sure you contribute value to what you are saying. So just before I open the floor up so that we can have questions, I'm going to do a quick recap, right? So first, like I mentioned, communication is what? Is about courage. Primarily about what? Courage, right? It's primarily about what? Courage. Communication is about courage, right? Because when you have courage, it sets you. That's the first step. And then we had a question, and I said that when you want to speak, right? When you want to speak, forget what everybody will say. Oh, this one, this one, this one, this one. Know that when you are given the opportunity to speak, it is because in that particular time you have something of value for them to what to listen to and things like that, right? And when you want to break things down, right? Remember that you have the opportunity to compare or use metaphors or things like that to break topics down, compare to things. Those ones helps you to do that. And finally, when you are talking, always listen and listen well, because communication helps us to do that. And remember, no matter what you communicate, feedback is what's important. Before we then moved to how you can get better at speaking or communicating, I said that number one, find ways to improve your courage, which is what? Find opportunities to communicate, right? Don't shy away from it. Just go there and deliver it, right? Then the second thing I mentioned about that is what? Invest in learning about communication, which is you can go to YouTube, you can do to this one. So for example, if you're looking about learning about public speaking, there's a YouTube video that I'll always recommend. It's by Carmine Gallo. I'm just going to type it here. Carmine Gallo is always it's a good video on public speaking, right? The heart of public speaking. Check that out if you're looking for maybe learning how to. But much more than that, get books, read. There's this the Carnegie books, the Carnegie book on public speaking. There's a Larry King book on public speaking, and much more. There are now much more ways to do that. Take over to the technical terms where you say, oh, understanding your audience and things like that. For example, like that. Those ones go at a deeper level, but I like to say start from courage. And then yeah, I think I've covered much of what I have been talking about now. I think because we don't have much time, I think we can then take questions because I like the questions. The questions are more practical at this time, right? So if you are following me, I hope you follow. All right, thank you. So let's just I think questions are key. So let's do questions. Let's do questions. I'm excited about questions. Thank you, guys. Questions. All right, I'm just going to be. Let me open the question queue. I'm just going to do it as I see it. Okay. I don't know. Mr. Abiola, can you help me because I can't particularly see this question queue properly. So okay. I can see, okay, Rose, I can see your hand is up. Let's go. Rose.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Clearly, loud and clear.
Okay, my question is, how can one maintain eye contact when communicating? Because when someone is speaking, to maintain that eye contact is something else. Some people's eyes are very scary. Like, you can just be speaking, and when you just assume that, okay, let me just look at this person's eye when communicating, you can jabber at that moment. So how can one maintain
Hmm.
that eye contact?
All right. First thing, I'll give you this trick. No matter where you are going to speak, look for the person that you feel like their face is not scary and focus on that person. Simple. When you do that, that person will give you confidence to continue. Simple. There's no place you go to, that you won't find at least one person that their face is not scary or the likes, or giving you that stuff, right? So just focus on that person, right? And use the person's, attention to just drive yourself. Because the more you do it, right, the more comfortable you become. All right. I saw that somebody said, what is a one-on-one session? Okay. This class is very interesting. Yeah, one-on-one sessions. Now, it depends on the context, but I don't think we can touch that here today. Musa Yerima, I can see your hand is up.
Yes, sir. Can I speak, sir?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you once again for this interesting and informative presentation. It's one of the best presentation I attend on communication, actually. So, sir, the problem. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I'm with you.
Thank you. So one problem I used to encounter while speaking is that my mind usually develop multiple, like, I used to create a lot of thoughts in my mind that actually distract me while I'm speaking in a crowd.
Hmm.
Like even when I write point that I'm going to present, I find it very difficult to present them uh, in a manner that will be appreciating, actually. So it's just like, I don't know, it maybe, I think it's, is it a fear or something like that? I actually don't know. So actually find it very hard to arrange my thoughts together, and that's why
Hmm.
sometimes out of fear I feel like I don't know when I will just start speaking faster, so that I will not be able to allow those kind of thoughts to slip away from my mind. So I want your help, please, on this. Thank you.
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So, I mentioned something the other time. So it depends on the thoughts that comes to your mind. Are they distracting thoughts? Are they negative thoughts? Right? If they are negative thoughts, because that means that there are other things, that means that there are voices that you allow in your head that you may want to,
No, sir. Actually, it is not that kind of negative thoughts. It's actually a lot of reasonable or valuable thoughts that are associated with what I'm going to say. So
okay.
it's
So let
just
me
like
tell
a
you something.
stream of thoughts that comes to my mind.
Oh, okay. So let me tell you something. Know this very, very well. And I'm going to give you this trick. Know this very, very well, that when you are compiling your thoughts, when you want to say something that is very important, or you want to communicate something, and you write down your thoughts, right? And you want to then say it, and then other points are coming. One thing I want you to notice or know is that those thoughts can be valuable, but realize that delivery is more important than volume. Let me put it this way. Sometimes you can get so excited. Have you read a material before or listened to a talk before in which there was so much information coming at you that you just know that I have so much knowledge from this session, but I really can't understand what this person is saying? In which sense you can get the sense that this person is very smart, this person is this one, but I can't seem to nail down his point. And I've seen sessions like that, right? Where you just feel like, this guy sabi plenty things, but I just know the way he puts it together. So it's not really about volume of information going to the person listening to you. It's about the person, the people taking that information in and getting it. So one thing I want you to do is that you need to find a way to write down your points. One. Number two, find a way before you have opportunity to speak to rehearse sticking to your point. Right? The more you rehearse it, the better you get at it over time. And one thing that you will note is that even at that, the more you get better at doing that, the better you also get at infusing new thoughts into your former thought process along the way. Let me just stop there. Do we still have another hand up?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate.
Thank you very much, Samuel. It's a very good opportunity to learn from you. I've been trying to send 5 minutes remaining. I think I've sent it twice, but I didn't want to break the flow, and that's exactly what we have come to learn: the ability to keep people interested in the conversations that we are having. And it's so interesting to know that it can be done seamlessly with the way you've engaged us. And we are happy to have you on this platform. One of my bosses that I know is raising his hand. I would just want to give him that honor and for him to say something. Mr.
All
Sam,
right.
if you are there, you can just unmute yourself and say something, Oga. Okay, okay. While we are trying to ascertain if he really wants to speak, we have some people that have already made some comments too that their questions have not been answered. So I'm just going to, okay. Someone is pleading here that I should allow everybody to ask their questions, but that might not be very easy for us. At the same time, we'll try to make sure that we are not biased. So let me just go into the chat box and pick two questions at random, if you permit me. There's a
No, no,
question.
sorry, dear. Sorry. You can as much as I think I still have like, if you don't mind, it depends on you because you are the host.
Yeah.
You can take as much questions as you allow.
Okay. 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 So if you want us to take the questions, you can send the range of thumbs up as you have been sending. Okay, okay. Let's make an allowance of like 10 minutes. So there are some questions here. If you've written your question before, you can repaste it so that I will not have to search too much in the chat box. So there's one here that says, what if someone's heart is beating very fast when speaking and facing the multitude? How do you deal with that?
Hmm. Thank you very much for that question. One thing I would say is that your heart beating is normal, right? Right? Your heart beating that way is normal. First thing you have to accept is that it's normal for your heart to beat like that. In fact, there's one popular speaker in this country that I know has spoken in front of 10,000, several things like that. And one day he just said that there's no time that he wants to stand up to speak that he doesn't feel nervous. Like his feet be shaking on the floor. But you won't know because, of course, you expect that this person is a champion public speaker. One thing you need to know, I'll tell you this one, is not you alone. You are not alone. I experience it
Hello,
too.
good evening.
I
Uche, 1 2.
sorry.
1 2. Hello, hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Who is that?
I'm Joseph by name. Am I?
Oh, all right. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, how is the good evening and how is work? Please, I'm sorry, I've attended this meeting late, so it's like almost everything is gone. I don't know if there will be a way that maybe this record will be on YouTube or anywhere that we can download. Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
thank you very much. Joseph.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that at least we'll be able to have access right from the beginning. Due to work, I was unable to make it. So,
okay.
yes.
No problem, Joseph. We are recording this session and it will be uploaded to YouTube tonight.
Thank
I
you
will
so
drop my
much.
number in the chat box.
Okay.
Chat box on WhatsApp, and I'll send you the link to these recordings. Yeah.
So I
So
thank you so
thank you.
much. I still let me read the alarm in time so that at least if we don't start, something will be done for that. Thank you so much.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Thank
Thank
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yes. I'm
All
still
right.
with you guys.
All right. Thank you so much. As I was saying, always know you're not the only one. You know, be ready. Know that anytime you are feeling that way, say it in your mind that I'm not the only one feeling this way, right? Let me give you a funny joke. And something. Have you found out? Have you gone somewhere before and you have been feeling very afraid? God, I'm the only one that I'm going to do this one. And then immediately you got there and you saw people. Let me give you an example. Imagine one day you are late, maybe it rained or something happened overnight, and then you woke up quite late and you were going to a workplace and you're feeling to yourself, God, today I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. And then you stepped into the place, right? And as you entered, you saw two people that you always see, right? You saw two people that they don't get, they are usually not late, but you saw them there, and you're like, so we are plenty. Do you know that that brings comfort to you, right? You can tell the comfort that it brings, we are plenty. Yes. Except this case, every single person who speaks publicly experiences that, right? Do you see the comfort that it brings to you? Know that one. Yeah, that's normal. Say, just find it. It's normal to feel that way. Then the second thing you can do is to look for somebody in the crowd, right? And zero in on that person as the person you are speaking to. So what that does is that the anxiety about talking to a lot of people dissipates. And you know that now I'm talking to this one person, and it becomes easier as you do it, right? It becomes easier. It becomes easier. The first key when you are feeling that in your chest is that number one, this is one. This is not, I am not the only one feeling this. Number two, look for somebody in the crowd. Is there any other question? Another question, sorry.
you. Yes, there are questions. We have two. There's one that says, "What if the person's face is not scary but is distracting?"
Yes, thank you so much. I saw that question in passing the other time. So one other thing I want to tell you is that when you are given the opportunity to speak, you have authority. Okay? Right? You have authority. So please repeat that to yourself. Say, I have authority when I'm allowed to speak. Right. So one thing I would like to say is that sometimes people get you when you get into a place and you are speaking and somebody is distracting, you have the opportunity to say, to mention it that this is distracting. And you find out that you are not the only one that finds that what that person is doing distracting. Unless, of course, the person is your boss and so that you don't collect sack letter. But yes, right? You are permitted to say, oh, you can see if you can't talk directly to your boss, you can say, hello everyone, please, I'd like all of our attention. I'd like your attention. Instantly, when you mention that, anybody that is reasonable, we know that he has to what? He has to be focused on the person speaking, right? You can even start preface your talk if you find that this person is is distracting and everything. You can preface your talk by saying, I'd like all of our attentions, please, because this is an important discussion. You see, sometimes have you noticed that sometimes you get to some people when they want to speak, they say, oh, this is sorry, I want to speak. This is very, very important. When people say this is very, very important, do you know that people's ears they perk up instantly? They want to listen to what is important. They want to share money, things like that. Depending on where. So it is that way is how you get people's attention, right? So if you feel like somebody is being distracting, You have, if you are the senior person there, like our boss that is on this call, you have the opportunity to say, excuse me, please, you are being distracting, right? And you are, so you have to understand, I will not operate under we are operating under the assumption that that person is a reasonable person. So if they are a reasonable person, they will adjust. All right, another question.
Okay, thank you so much for that. This question says, most times I feel I am not qualified enough to give a speech or engage in any communicating activities, more like low self-esteem. What can I do? I feel I'm not
Thank you
qualified
very
enough. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that question. First thing, operate from this perspective that you are valuable. So, let me give you a typical example of some things you can do, at the beginning, because this doesn't happen. It's a process, right? But first thing you need to do is to sort out your internal view of yourself, right? There was a time that whenever I wanted to speak in public, there is a song that I listen to. Like, I have a song that I listen to. It's part of my public speaking routine. I'll just get that song, I'll play it, I'll plug my earphones in, as I'm outside, as I'm waiting, I'll just be listening to that song consistently, that positive song, getting it into my head, and the song is quite, it's quite, it's energizing for me. It gives me that push to want to go. So when I'm listening to that song, when I get into, immediately I step up on the stage, my mental image of myself is already high, right? It's a high, I can see myself, I know that what I have is so if you have affirmation cards, you can write it down anywhere in your house. And then one other thing you need to know is that the challenge is not tied to communication alone, right? If you have that view of yourself, it's probably limiting you in other places too, right? It's probably limiting you other things too. So it starts, when you're dealing with things like that, it starts with rehabilitating your own view of yourself, because because it starts from there. So when you start from rehabilitating your own view of yourself, it becomes easier to translate that to feeling that way. Because when you start to, okay, I'm feeling like my low self-esteem. And let me tell you something, low self-esteem, no child starts out with a low self-esteem. It's because there are communications or things that have been said consistently, to that person, to get them to that point where they start to see themselves in that particular way. And it can manifest in other ways, and stuff becomes so that you become likable, you can become, extremely people pleasing, or the likes and things like that, a lack of boundaries and things like that. It shows forth in many, many other ways, right? But it starts from realizing, having a view of yourself and realizing and saying, you know what, I have value. Every single human being that was born has value. Catholics will say it has an image of God. The Imago Dei starts from there. That image starts from there. Being born, being created of a creator. And every single person has been created by the creator, has value, inherent value. So operate from that. So start from that basis. I have inherent value. When you start from I have inherent value, because I have inherent value, I am valuable. How do you get? So you start with I have inherent value, then you go to I am valuable. When I'm valuable, because I am valuable, I deserve to be heard. Simple. So you can even take that away from knowing to what you want to say. Enter any room, enter any place in the world. Once you have that mindset that I have value and I am valuable, you will speak. Of course, we can then go deeper, other things that can help that. But yeah, that's how you do it. Another
Thank you
question.
so much. Thank you so much. I think one affirmation we can also go with this night is that everybody here is valuable. Yeah. you're valuable. Yeah, there might be a lot of things in your head saying otherwise, but just like you told us, the fact that you are given the opportunity to speak means there's something you have to say, and everybody is valuable. So we'll take the remaining two questions and then we'll be wrapping this session up. There's a question by Aline that says, what are the ways you can show that you are not shy or signs that you are bold? What are the ways that you can show that you are not shy or say signs to show your boldness, something like that?
Signs to show your boldness. Well, let me say it this way. More like what improves your chances of becoming bold. Let me put it that way. Because really, like I said, it starts from your own personal value, right? But one other thing that can help you is that um there are things that you do. Let me tell you something. We didn't touch on body language today, and it was intentional because we are laying a foundation. But one thing I want to give you a trick. Have you noticed, right, that you go somewhere, right, and there are some people, it just seems as if people defer to them or give them more respect and honor. Have you noticed that before? I have many times, right? There are two ways people do that. There are two reasons why people do that. Number one, a disposition. Number two, how they appear. Let me tell you something. There are places where the way you appear first gives you a psychological advantage. The way you appear first gives you a what? A psychological advantage. I want to say it this way. Always attempt to look your best. Men, women, everybody, look your best. That's the first thing that gives you psychological advantage. Have you noticed that the day that you dress well, your steez is dripping everywhere you get. Your steez is dripping very, very well. You step out you already have confidence, you have boldness. Like the moment you step out like this, you yourself, like today you are, I'm a fine boy. Like I'm feeling like fire is everywhere. You get, I hope you understand. What that does is that it already gives you what? A psychological advantage. And the funny thing, when that happens, people can feel it too. Like they can catch that vibe instantly. Right? As you are coming, they can catch that vibe, they can catch that energy. Right? So when you do that, right, it gives you, and there are studies, you can Google them, that shows that when people dress a certain way, look a certain way, dress a certain way and look, clean up and do like this, it actually helps them psychologically view themselves in a better way. So if you're going somewhere, if you're feeling like, okay, one thing you can do today, if you are feeling one practical step you can do today, if you are feeling like you don't have what you want, go invest in the way you look. Invest. If you're feeling like, oh, where your boldness, start from there. Because first thing I can tell you for free is that the moment you step out and your dressing change and people start giving you compliments and they see you say, you look amazing. People say, I like your suit. You're always looking. What you are depositing into your boldness account, if I can if I can use that metaphor. It's just like depositing there into your boldness account every time you come out, you look, just put it there. And one other thing, somebody said, no, be everybody get money. Yes, I understand, which is why you have to get creative. Oh my God. So let me tell you something. Dressing is really not about it's not about the money. There's money, of course. There's what you have. It's about knowledge. Thankfully, we have the internet. You would find out that what you have, you can create unique timepieces with what you have. I hope you get what I'm saying. You can craft in such a way that what you have, people would say, and they would know that it's not expensive. It's not about going and spending big money. It's about maximizing what you have already. utility, you know, do you people, you can start from understand a basic understanding of color theory alone can change the way people can change your dressing just from what you have already. Like a simple understanding of color theory, like how to mix colors of what you're dressing. Simple can change. See, some people are wearing, some people will wear white on black. You'll be like, white on black, it's just normal, right? Or something like that. But then they use they use a tie that instantly lets the white and black pop. Simple. Or somebody wears a black, or something. Somebody wears a white and black, white shirt, black tie, wears a brown belt and a brown shoe. Instantly, that dressing is already popping. Those are simple things, right? That can improve, you know, that can certainly improve how you carry yourself, right? So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I was tempted to write Charlie Poppy when you said the person is popping. Uh, well, I tried to be professional. I just we edit this part out of the video. There's one last question, and I think you've answered it, but I'll say it in case you just want to drop one sentence or two because of our time to just, to put some emphasis. It's from Rostemi. She said, "What words of affirmation can I say to myself when I'm nervous or speak in a gathering?" I you've said two major ones I've been able to pick. I am valuable and I have inherent value, which is almost like the same thing. Yeah, but she's asking if there are words of affirmation she can, say to herself before going out there to speak in a gathering.
Oh yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, of course, that's one. You can use that. One thing I think I mentioned the other time that you can also use music. Music has a powerful psychological effect, right? So if you have songs, I don't know, maybe some people their own hype song is "Channels of My Spirit Open Up" by Dunsin, and you are feeling I'm one with the Father, and then you know and things like that. Or maybe your own is wake up, wake up, wake up. You you know, you get into that sense. Music, can help you, right? There are several songs like that. You know, there's this song by R. Kelly that says, "I'm the Kinnick in the sky. You know, yeah, and I'm the greatest. I'm the world's greatest." That's a very good song. If you are feeling somehow about, you want to give a talk, you can use that to, to psych yourself and things like that. So you can use music, right? And one other thing, you can actually write, um think about yourself, and this is how you form. Let me just give you a hack for you to form your own confessions, because some of your own words of affirmation have to be unique to you because you know what it touches, right? One thing you need to do is you can look at yourself, look at all the things you see as defects in you, right? And then write the positive version of it, confessing, with your own perspective, right? So you can, if you feel as if, if you feel like, oh, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am not attractive. I'm not attractive. You can write it down. Men and women, I command attention. I am, I am comely to look at. People look at me and marvel. You start from there. You get, look at the defects that you have in yourself, and you just say, you know what, and write what you see. It changes everything about it. That's all I'll say about that. I think you can use that and then use it. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. I'm
Somebody said I
really
should repeat I said again. No, I don't know.
You will repeat it in the recording. Thank you so much. Yeah, can we please shower reactions on our guest today? It's been a very, very wonderful session. And if you've been very honest, you would agree with me that we have so many things to take home this month. And if not for moderation, we would have just said that we should continue into the night. And I want to say to everybody here today, you made this happen. This is the first time we'll be getting to an audience of 50, so you can celebrate yourself. And thank you so much for the celebration of emojis that you've been using. So for people who have been asking questions about recording, please just be cool. You are very sure that we have the recording and you can have it as soon as tomorrow morning. We'll have to do some edits and make sure it looks good on the outside. Yeah. So I said I was going to
remove my video because I want people to see a practical thing. There was one thing that our guest did throughout. He kept a very, very a big smile. Yeah. So whenever you go out there and you want to start talking, a very big smile would help you to, let people assume that you are confident in yourself, and then they start believing that maybe you are confident, maybe you are bold, maybe you are courageous, and before they find a way around it, you're already on top of the situation. So we are so grateful for the gift of my brother here, and it's always something that we would love to see him some other time, but for tonight we would say thank you so much once again, and we do not take it for granted. So without wasting much of your time, like I said,
Sir, I have
the
something to say,
recording is
sir.
available and I'll post it on my status tomorrow. You can always go there and get these links. I would just like to do some announcement before we call it a night and we get set for the next seminar, which is going to be next month. So once again, I would like to say that it's a series that is going somewhere. So
Hello, sir.
for some of us, we've been in the first, second,
Can I
and
speak,
the
sir?
third one. I would like to encourage you to tell other people that something good is happening around here, just like I said last month. And next month, we are going to be doing the topic critical thinking and problem solving. Critical thinking and problem solving. So I would like you to mark your calendars. It's going to be on the last Sunday in August. And that's going to be August 25. And that time we'll be knowing our guests, and I'm sure that just like you have learned a whole lot tonight, you'll be able to learn very much too next month. Yeah. Before we go, we'd like to say that this success mindset seminar, it's a part of a package called the Success Mindset Program. In this program, we have a coaching arm of it that allows people who are interested in coaching to signify and tell us that they want to be coached. And just like I used to say, coaching is different from mentoring. You can go and search the difference, but in coaching, you are the one leading the business. The coach is just guiding you to be able to achieve the things that you have highlighted that you want to achieve. So it's more client-led than a mentor who you have to get that is in a profession to lead you to be successful in that particular profession. If you're interested in this, we have a network of good people, just like Samuel Ajayi that has spoken to us, that we can always connect you with, to speak with. Imagine having an opportunity to speak with Samuel for even if it's 10 minutes in a week. I'm sure that you are going to be the next Charlie Poppy of our time. And, the other people that we've also talked to that have spoken to us in the past 2 months, there are people that you should keep their contacts. And that's one of the things we do at SMP, to be able to link you up with these good people that can set you up. And at the end of the day, you are going to be five years older than your age, because you've gained from the wealth of experience of people who are doing well and are on top of their business. So thank you so much once again, everybody. I sincerely apologize, even though you called for it, that we should be having that we should have this extra 30 minutes. And I believe, and I'm very, very sure of what I'm saying, that it was worth it. So please don't let it end here. For next month, invite your friends, tell them about this wonderful development program. It's this kind of seminars kind of tune you up for you to be the best version of yourself. And when you go out there to speak with people in interviews, in relationships, in discussions, in church, in mosques, you discover that you are confident and people listen to you because you have something to say. So with this, I would say let's call it a night. And if you know that you are not a victim of NEPA, and you you have light in your house, you can actually turn on your video as a closing remark and just say hi to, just open up and say hi to people, say hello to your friends. I'm sure that they will be happy to see you. And I must really appreciate a lot of people that joined us for the very first time. If you would like to get an official invite from us, so that you will not miss any of these programs, please, before you go, type your email and put it in the chat box. There's a transcript that I'll get at the end of the day. It will tell me all these things that you put in the chat box. So if this is your first time, or you've attended the first and second one, but you didn't get an invite from me for this session, and you would like to get invites of this kind of program, please try as much as possible to drop your email in the chat box, an active one, please, in the chat box, so that you can always get correspondence from us. So with this, I would say everybody can unmute, show your video, and say hello, hi, and then we'll be done with this session. Thank you so much, everyone. See you 25th of August, where we talk about
Thank you very
critical
much,
thinking.
sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Just
Keep being
I
your
see your
Charlie
face.
of your life, of your sets, of your season, of your friends. And I'm stopping the recording now. Have a good night.
You will not get
Thank you
your
so much,
panel.
our guests, once again. We really loved the
Good
session,
night.
and we're grateful for the gift of you. Have a good night.